Farutullah Khan Babar. This is, first of all, I'd like to thank you for holding this event, and I hope that the conclusion and the outcome of such sessions is we are able to have access to that, and the planning ministry and everybody in the federal cabinet can actually benefit from studying the outcomes of such interaction of great professionals and leaders in the reform program agenda across the country, and organizations that have played an important role being the development partners of our country. I'd also like to thank UK for being one of the most important development partners that Pakistan has had, and the role that the United Kingdom has played in the past and has the resolve to play in the future. I'm just going to be referring to these very important discussion sessions that you'll have over the next 2 days, and I'll try to give you my humble opinion on this. Fiscal space is something that is the most important as we speak. In the discussions that we keep holding with IMF, another development partner of ours, fiscal space is something that figures out the most. One of the, a few of the major reforms that the power sector could actually take and ease out the pressure on the consumers as far as high prices of electricity are concerned, everything concerns fiscal space. There are efficiencies that we can bring about in the power sector. Unfortunately, fiscal space comes into play. There are rules and principles and things that we have committed to with our development partner which restrict us from doing things that might not be harmful for the economy in the short, medium, or long term. But since those principles have been agreed upon, we don't have the fiscal space to move around and actually pass on the benefits of more efficiency as it is kicked in as we go through our reform process. Public financial management is another very important part. Social protection, I think we also, the experts, when they do discuss this this afternoon, they also need to throw some light on the inefficiencies of the existing social protection program that is so well known as a success in Pakistan. There are transparency issues, there are issues in distribution of funds all the way down to the grassroots level. There is a franchise system that exists in the distribution of such programs. The nature of such programs needs to be revisited by us all. Why are we just doling out free money to people? Why can't the same be translated into productive hours that they could contribute towards the economy while actually benefiting from that opportunity of income of those households going up? Why can't all the targeted subsidies be routed through these social protection programs? Next is the local government that you'll be discussing tomorrow. I've heard you're going to have a very passionate speaker on local government, which is Ahmad. He's actually the head of the local government, he's head of the Public Accounts Committee these days in the province of Punjab. But Ahmad and myself have worked a few years ago, worked a lot on the local government system and how we could improve that. I was a local government minister for a few months during Hamza Shahbaz's government in Punjab. And we were able to, in those 2-3 months, come up with a law that was a major shift from the existing local government system in most provinces. I think it's still completely controlled by the bureaucracy. We are to blame. We haven't been able to make that shift which encourages the people to rule themselves at that most important critical level. Unfortunately, there isn't even constitutional cover for the elections to be held in Pakistan. And that level of local governance is the key and the most critical part of it. Some people also think Pakistan is not probably governable anymore. And that is because the local government system might not be enough. No matter how empowered it is, people are talking of the communities which now need to start to govern themselves. So the Shoaib Sultan idea, and when you read his book, Man in the Hat, that might point us in a direction that is more maybe radical, but that's something that the huge population growth rate that Pakistan has, unfortunately today, this might be the only way to resolve the governance issues at the grassroots level. When we go into elections, there are loads of children who come and receive us. I think there are 4 key issues. I might be writing an article soon on this. In spite of being a cabinet member, I don't know whether I'll cease to exist as one after that article or not, but still, I think there are 4 very key issues that reformers and people like yourselves need to be looking at. My humble opinion is that the population growth rate, the education system of our country, the horribly inefficient healthcare system that needs to shift more towards preventive healthcare, like which prevails in some countries across the third world, like even a country like Cuba. I think the WHO has recognized that as one of the best healthcare systems in the world, the most cost-effective one. Healthcare through prevention is the only solution that Pakistan might have to this growing population and the healthcare issues that we are facing today. Tertiary healthcare is absolutely unaffordable. We cannot go on with that in the future at all. So healthcare, education, population growth, and water. I think when you talk of the development planning part of it, why are we going on? I think these are questions that you might want to ask the policymakers when they're here in front of you, or the experts. Why are we again and again investing into infrastructure that is being completely bashed by floods and the effects of climate change? So we rebuild the schools, rebuild the roads, and the hospitals and the basic health units. We construct them again just to wait for another wave of flood to come and destroy them again. So we're not addressing and investing into the root cause, which is water infrastructure, storage, how to divert that water into far more useful use. So I think these are all things that if you are going to be discussing this, I think the outcome of these discussions will be very much required by the government to also have a look. In the next 3 to 4 minutes, I'll try to reflect on the 5 or 6 key reforms that we are having in the power sector itself. First of all, I think all of us policymakers need to be actually bold enough to know and recognize and announce all the fault lines that exist in our existing policy planning and the way we try to manage our sectors. I think the power sector has been marred by ill planning all throughout in the past. There hasn't ever been any proper planning. Pakistan has, just for your information, Pakistan has not ever invested into power generation that was added onto its portfolio on a least cost methodology. We've always been buying more expensive power. There hasn't been any transparent auctioning processes or transparent bidding processes. It's always been cost plus. It's always been upfront tariffs. And you'll be shocked to know that we're still crying about the previous IPP contracts, the future 17,000 megawatts of power that we are expected to add on to our portfolio, that we've already contracted out, that are already under construction. Some of them are about to get complete. All of it, out of the 17,000 megawatts, only 87 megawatts fulfills the criteria of least cost methodology. Every other megawatt being added on is a violation of the least cost methodology that we've actually committed. So we are reviewing the IGCEP, which is the planning process, what all to add on, what kind of least cost violations the Pakistan's planning department through its PSDP needs to make. So this is one of the major reforms that are being looked at right now, and within the next month, we should be getting the new planning for the next 10 years to be approved. There are net metering systems across the country. We're very happy that we are adding on 1.2 gigawatts of solar distributed power across the country, but at what cost? Just 100,000 people who own net meters, who are the affluent, or the most, who are the highest in the income level class, they are now adding on the burden to the entire pool. And we don't have the courage to change the regulations for that. We do have the courage now. We will make sure that everything is rationalized to a point, because I can't and the country can't afford it anymore. So the opening up of the independent system market operator, we've already approved that in these past 8 months. It will be operational by March of 2025, beyond which there will be bilateral contracts between the buyers and the sellers of power in the future. So the government will not be the only purchaser and seller of power. Restructuring of this huge elephant called the National Transmission Development Company, one of the most inefficient companies that Pakistan has ever had. 4 years, 6 years, 8 years, and 10 years of delay in projects of national transmission, which ultimately translate into our inability to evacuate efficient and cheaper power to the load centers of this country. So we're splitting that up into three companies and going to lay the foundations of the most efficient and well-run companies for the future. The privatization of distribution companies. I am wholly solely in charge of 11 distribution companies. I have more than 100 or 200,000 employees. I can exert a lot of political influence, but I need to convince myself and have the courage to let that authority go, like we did back in 2002. PTCL was a source of great political influence for me. It was serving the political economy of this country. We let PTCL go at that time. We deregulated the sector. We brought in competition. And look at the fruits of it all that Pakistan is still enjoying in the form of a good, efficient, deregulated telecommunication sector. Look at the IT services that are actually building on those. So we are going to privatize. What before privatization? We needed to bring in boards. We needed those companies to be run and controlled not by a joint secretary or an additional secretary of the power division or the minister. Who am I to know what kind of a CEO to put in place for a distribution company? I haven't ever had the experience of running a utility. I'm a policy maker. In the past, we've been doing that. Ministers have been doing that. They might have thought that's the right way to do it. They might have done it out of good intention. But that was the wrong way to do it. So we have brought in place good professional boards. For the first time in the history of this country, Excellency, we have put into place members of the board without one political sifarish, without one political or judicial or establishment or bureaucratic intervention. And hence, what results have we gotten out of it? We had the review with the IMF only yesterday or the day before, and our first quarter's circular debt management plan targets, we did $170 billion rupees better than what was actually budgeted. So Pakistan is 170 billion rupees better just because of better management of the distribution companies in the first quarter of the boards coming in. And I hope the management benefits would be translated into something much more in the future. Clean energy. Pakistan's energy portfolio is clean. We have 55% clean energy that contributed to our energy portfolio last year. This is going to go up to 88% in the year 2034 because of more hydropower being injected into the system. Pakistan is clean enough, but Pakistan needs a base load of power that needs to serve the country of solar hours. Pakistan needs to have regional connectivity. I'd like to encourage regional connectivity all through from India into Pakistan, all the way into the Middle East and the GCC region. So we are talking of regional connectivity so that renewable energy and the advantages of renewable energy are shared across this region like they are on the European grid. So these are all reform measures that we are actually looking at, and we need to take bold decisions. We need to see if Bhasha Dam's electricity and the high cost of evacuation makes economic sense or not. Yes, Bhasha Dam for flood mitigation and to reduce the effects of floods in our country. Yes, reservoirs, water storage, but electricity, is that required? What cost would that electricity be at? Would the consumers be able to bear the tariff of those added costs that we are going to put on the energy portfolio of this country? So these are all ways in which we are trying to make a difference. I would love to partner with FCDO. Unfortunately, we haven't interacted in the past few months. I'd love to have this relationship get stronger in the future, and for Pakistan to benefit from the great experience that organizations like FCSDO have had in our country. Thank you so much.